make sure that the volume's up.
We're on.
Yeah, it looks like we're on.
Well, guys, you know what? Here we are again. This is our second stream. This is going to be our, the co-host for the Mel Carmine show. This is a weekly show we call The Forecast, no pun intended. And man, is there a lot of information going on around the world? It is like mind explosion stuff. It's crazy. Mike and I were talking about this judge that's trying to block Elon Musk from looking at all the corruption because he's probably in on a take too. Maybe that's probably a good place to start. I thought that was an incredible story this morning that was sent to me. I wake up in the morning, guys, and I get 29 pieces sent to me before my coffee's ready. So, guys, welcome to the show. It's going to be a great show. Pretty soon you'll see Victoria Reynolds running her own show and Mike Barra. Elisa's already doing a great job. Great podcast, by the way, with Kerry Cassidy. Fantastic.
That was fun.
It's mind-blowing. And, guys, who wants to go first?
I don't know. I'll go first. I'm a guy. I'll get aggressive here. I thought we were calling it the Foursome. Now we're calling it the Forecast. By the way, that's a golfing reference. Don't get caught up in the two guys, two girls thing, guys. Some of you have dirty minds, all right? Well, we were just talking about it right before we got started. I think what's really interesting significantly, in a cultural sense, is the Super Bowl yesterday, which was there. I got some few comments on it, a few observations. They only showed Trump once, and as far as I know, they only showed Taylor Swift once. Yeah. She got booed. He got wildly cheered, which shows you the complete shift and the complete disconnect between the fake entertainment industry, which creates these fake people, these fake stars, and pushes them on us. We don't choose anymore who our music stars are, who our movie stars are. They're shoved down our throats, right? And people, we don't really like them. I mean, we don't really like them. I don't, there's a lot of mind-numbed robots out there who are just told Taylor Swift is great, so they go to the Taylor Swift concert and all this stuff. But I don't think these people are really all that popular. I don't care how many records they say they've sold. We found out a lot of those sales records over the last 50 years have been fake. People buy their own albums and then say, "Hey, I got a platinum record," a platinum selling artist. You had the weird halftime show, which I would like to get. I don't know if anybody saw the halftime show, but half the people are saying, it was satanic, and he got in Trump's face, and he was arguing against racism. And other people are saying he was criticizing Drake for being a pedo, and then it ended with game over. So I don't know which side this Kendrick Lamar guy was on. I do think he sucked though. But
so Mike, I was watching it with a crowd, with a bunch of people, and I was looking for signs of, are we doing something kind of satanic, or are we doing something that is going against that, right? Like a disclosure kind of thing. And one of the people that I was watching it with, he's into a lot of those, rap singers and stuff like that. So he knew I didn't know this guy, right? And he was actually saying that he felt that it was very much taking swipes at the music industry, at, Drake. It was not what we've seen in the past at the halftime show, where they were trying to obviously show everyone kind of the satanic side of everything. Mm-hmm. But I want, just on a lighter note of this, then we could get into more of the messages. It was so funny to watch everyone, because it was a slightly older, like when I say older, not really into that kind of music. So, we were like 50, 60, 70 something that were there. And they were just like staring, like it was so quiet and so silent. And then every once in a while, someone would say, this sucks. What does this mean? What is this? So I was trying to hear for the messages. So I would love, I'd love to get into that a little.
I like to say rap and hip hop were invented so people with no musical talent could become rock stars, just like heavy metal music was invented so ugly people could get laid once in a while too. So, that's what, but yeah, I mean, it is fascinating. Like it felt shifted. It felt like things have shifted. We've known for a long time that we're the majority, the people who are into global sovereignty and freedom, and maybe we're not all Trump supporters, but most of us are, because we're awake and aware as to the evil that's out there. And now it feels like it's okay to be out front and public, and the artificiality, the phoniness of this globalist commie culture that's been shoved down our throats for the better part of 30 probably years now. I think around 2007 indie music went away, and artists who wrote their own music, and bands became, and now it was all individual people who do all the dancing shit. I don't think people ever liked all this crap in their music videos. I don't think we ever did, but it's been shoved down our throats to push this agenda to make these people stars, right? So that they could then be used to further a political agenda. And, I realize I could talk a lot, but let me just finish his point. And so I felt like this is the beginning of a major shift. The booing of Taylor Swift, I think her popularity is artificially inflated. I'm sure she's popular with some people, but, I had to suffer through a Taylor Swift concert once. I took my girl there. I didn't even get lucky. It was a horrible night. It was the worst night I've been through in my life. And one of the worst. So, this stuff is and the whole Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift fake romance, a Hollywood marriage, right? Nobody wants that anymore. And so the interesting thing is that except for one call at the beginning, the refs who have been helping the Chiefs all along, nobody intervened when they started getting their ass kicked. And I do think this is a situation where entertainment and sports have a significant reflection on what's really going on in the body politic and the overall consciousness of the nation right now.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Victoria, chime in, and then I'll go next.
I don't watch, how would I say, I'm a follower of no man. I have zero interest I have such a low interest in sports. I didn't even know the Super Bowl was yesterday. So, definitely right now.
I'm not
Sad, Victoria. You live a small life, Victoria.
Yeah, I just have no interest at all.
Victoria, I didn't know either who was playing.
Try to change, like, bounce balls and chase balls. I don't get it. I've never been a raw for this team or that team. I'm not starstruck by anyone. I've never understood the whole follow a celebrity thing. I don't get it. But I do know friends of mine have told me over the years that the halftime is always used for a satanic ritual. All these events are used for satanic rituals, but I don't watch them. So I couldn't tell you. I was on the beach yesterday, I guess, during football. So.
Good for you.
I want to say one thing, Victoria, not to interrupt, but I love your background, and I know it's not a green screen, so that's awesome.
It is the real deal.
Real deal.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
It's like Florida. Looks like you're in Florida.
Imagine that. This is the Gnostic TV office headquarters.
Awesome.
Oh,
We could help you blow that up at some point. But let me tell you how disconnected Mel Carmine is. I have no idea who this rap star is. Never heard of him in my life, not once. Number one. Number two, I'm the same guy that almost ran over J-Lo when she was together with Michael Anthony 25 years ago in South Beach. I almost literally hit them with my car, and I had to ask my friend Sean, who the hell is that? Because there's like 12 photographers walking backwards, taking pictures of them as they're crossing the street. Okay, that's how disconnected I am. But you notice he said something at the end, something along the lines, and I'm not going to quote him exactly, but he said, don't watch TV, something like that. Did you notice that? Or was I the only one that picked that up? Or stop watching TV or something like that? We got to go back and play that because that's important. Okay.
Mel, was this at the end of the game?
At the end of the show, the first half show, the midway show. At the end of that show, he said,
the rapper.
Yeah, the rapper said.
Yeah, he said something like that. I caught it. Yeah. And by the way, I only watched it so we could talk about it today. So Victoria, I'm with you. I had no idea. I was with some friends. So I don't follow any of that either, but I thought, it'd be interesting to watch it, to be able to chime in on what happened, because I'm always looking for what are the messages, and where are we in this whole process. But I think it was definitely a diss, if you will, to what is really going on in the music industry with these other artists. And it felt like to Mike, to your point, it felt like a flip, like a shift had happened,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did, and that the Super Bowl is a major cultural event in every year in America, and to see the shift in the consciousness and the shift away from the globalist commie DEI stuff. Even the NFL would has their fake end racism slogan in the end zone. They took that away, right? They took it off because they're still pretty racist and fake, and DEI still played the quote black national anthem. What the fuck is a black national anthem? There's no such thing, right?
Exactly.
But they're under pressure, and you can see that all of these globalist institutions, which are affecting our culture and generating our culture and trying to affect our consciousness, are under pressure. They are under assault, and they are basically, they're folding under the pressure slowly but surely. And I think yesterday was maybe not a huge milestone, but a significant milestone. You have to remember this guy, Patrick Mahomes, right, who's the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. The NFL has been pushing him since his second season as the next great player of all time. And they have done many things with their officiating to manipulate the outcomes of games and to help him along. And yesterday, when he got behind and he got under pressure, they didn't help him. They didn't help him. And that was shocking to me. They just let the teams play the game, and the Eagles creamed them. And I don't think that would have happened even a week or two ago. It's amazing. Remember, the championship games were played less than a few days after Trump's inauguration. I think there's been a huge shift just in how we look at all these things just in the last 3 weeks since Donald Trump was inaugurated. And it feels like it was an important event. It feels like it was a milestone we're going to look back on and say, that's when things flipped. So in that sense, I think it was a significant thing that happened yesterday.
So can I ask you guys, somebody at this party I was at yesterday said that I don't know who they is, but they said that the NFL is going to be in Australia in 2 years.
They are going to Australia this next season. I believe it's not 2026. I think it's 2025. I'm not sure, but it might be correct that it's 2026. Yes, they're going to expand the NFL to Australia. They're also going to play in Ireland this year.
Okay.
Dublin, which is
I wasn't sure if that was in some way connected to this idea of the 7 kingdoms and all that, the 5 like if that was considered part of it because of the fact that Australia is supposed to be under the United States. So it might have absolutely nothing to do with that, but I found that interesting, and I didn't know that Ireland was part of that too, but some of the people at the party knew that. So
yeah, that is true. And again, we've talked about it, I think, on last week's show, the 7 kingdoms. The US kingdom is going to be US, Canada, Greenland, apparently. And then Mexico has been considered part of it, but New Zealand and Australia, Panama Canal, we don't know exactly how it's going to be made up yet, but those are all the rumors. So, and there's also maybe even Great Britain will become part of this Commonwealth. All the major English speaking countries will come under one umbrella. So in that context, yeah, it makes sense. It's like, why are we exporting our brand of football to Australia? You ever seen Australian rules football? It's insane. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Oh, it's so much more fun to watch, though.
Oh my God! Because the men are in
it's
short.
So much more fun
Victoria.
to watch.
That's why you like it, Victoria.
There's no timeouts.
Tight-fitting tops. But it's absolute insanity. But like, why are we trying to push our brand of football on them? And I think it's because the American culture is going to become more dominant over the next few years. Like, when people talk about football in those regions, it's going to be American football. So we'll see.
Well, the technology that's coming, along with us taking over a few continents, the fact that I believe RFK at this point has been sworn in, correct? Cash Patel has been sworn in.
I don't think so.
I believe they have.
I think Cash was on a delay, wasn't he?
Was it delayed?
But they delayed it last week. I know that. But Yeah, I don't know what happened today. I didn't hear anything about that. And was RFK definitely sworn in?
No,
I
they haven't
believe.
been confirmed yet. It doesn't look like.
Well, I have no chemtrails here in Florida. I don't know about you guys.
Okay, yeah.
Is there
None
any
in New
chemtrails
York.
by you, Victoria?
I don't see any. That's amazing.
It's 6 days.
I don't see any.
It's been 6 days, no chemtrails. Something's going on.
Yeah.
Something.
So there's
But there's
still
something going on with that fog. That's the big concern right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys think Panama, we're going to take it over entirely where we own it because we built it? We had contracts. Somebody that just gave that thing away for $1, if I'm not mistaken, right? For
Jimmy
$1.
Carter. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Greenland, there's talk of Australia becoming also a state. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yep. 52. let's get the t-shirts. Let's get the t-shirts made up with the Australian continent and then the 52 across it. So yeah.
Well, just the fact that those guys are going to get their Second Amendment back, they would be willing because you know what? They realized they made a huge mistake in 1994 to give up their Second Amendment and just being part of the United States. Automatically, by default, they will get their Second Amendment back, which automatically guarantees your freedom of speech. And you guys don't have to use your knuckles, your bare knuckles, to fight the deep state like you're doing right now. And you guys got a lot of balls. I love the Aussies. I mean, they're right up there. My favorite people, Russians, Aussies, they're right up at the top of the top, right? So, I mean, where are you guys on that?
Well, Trump said during the campaign that he was going to make open carry and concealed carry all across the U.S. All United States were going to have the right to carry a firearm anytime, anywhere you wanted to.
Constitution.
And he has not followed through with that yet. Now, he can issue an executive order, which will have a limited effect on that. He could basically say it is now legal to carry weapons in any federal building or on any federal property. He can do that. And then he has to get the law passed through Congress. But I wish he would move on that because that would basically mean you have the right to bear arms, which you do, I think, but you have the right to bear arms and there can't be any restrictions on that kind of thing. So
that should make the illegal aliens, the criminal ones that don't want to leave the United States, shit in their boots. You know why? So. Because if you got Americans carrying guns, sane people, not insane people. Okay, let me stress that. Sane people that know how to use firearms, that have training. Now you just created a probably something like 100 million people extra police force, okay, on top of the police force that's already there. You're going to be outnumbered, illegal aliens. If I was you, I would get the hell out.
Yeah, it's amazing how polite American society was before there were any gun control laws. It's a very polite place to live in the 60s. Trust me, very polite.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're really literally at the crossroad, but you're right. He's got the right. He's got to sign the executive order to make it official. For him, it's just a stroke of a pen. What is the long wait, do you think?
Why are we waiting?
Yeah.
I just think there's other priorities, but I do believe he should make it a priority. There are, again, so many things he can do. The pace of this has been very exciting. He's got higher priorities, but I think in some ways this is low-hanging fruit. And I mean, I don't know why he's not working with a congressman to just introduce the bill that says, okay, concealed carry, reciprocity across all 50 states, open carry in all 50 states and on all federal lands. Boom. He could do. That's a very simple law to write. Just write it and get it into Congress and make them say no to you if they want to fight. Right?
I would love to be a gun owner. Not a gun owner, a gun shop owner right now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the sales of guns and bullets and sawed-off shotguns and 12 gauges?
Because my brother and I, speaking of football, went to a Seahawks football game back in December. Over in Phoenix, I had to double check to make sure I could carry my gun with me or keep it in the car on the way to Phoenix, just driving 3 or 4 hours away. That's insane. This is America. We have a Second Amendment. I don't think there should be any gun laws whatsoever unless you're a violent criminal. Then okay, fine.
But close your eyes right now and fantasize about this. Think about this. 100 million new people all of a sudden decide in 1 week or 2 weeks or a month they're all going to go buy guns. Can you see the lines wrapped around the building of these gun shop owners?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy.
That's going to be
And-
something to document out there.
Yeah. And it's like we're having this conversation now, and I could feel the left like getting hives over this, because they all, have that opinion that having guns and gun ownership is in some way the problem, and that when everybody's carrying a gun, it's going to make things less safe when, we've seen in so many places that that's exactly the opposite of what happens.
Well, think about it in terms of this. Let's fast forward 2-3 years into the future and realize that, oh my God, there's been no more school shootings, no more mass shootings at the mall, no more, right? Because those are what? We can't say those words here, so I'm going to try to keep it clean here, Mike. F, flag, F, that ends with an E, okay?
Yeah.
Flag, okay? Gone, a thing of the past.
Yep. And, again, like I said, when you're not sure if the guy you're getting into an argument with in the bar is carrying or not, you're a lot more polite. I'm just going to say that. Yeah. Society is much more polite when there's, you're pretty sure anybody could be carrying. That it just makes it makes for a society where people are nicer to each other. Okay,
Yeah,
let's not fight.
I think there's a lot of big fish to fry, but I
Mhm.
think that should be way high up on the agenda because Donald Trump inherits 100 million free police officers.
Yep. So
Victoria, where are you on that? I know you're Johnson. You're chomping at the bit to comment.
yeah, because you look like a big gun girl.
Yes, not at frickin' all.
Get out there, learn to
I
shoot.
look forward to the day when there are no weapons of any kind, no wars, no guns, no weapons, no desire to harm another being.
I don't have a desire to harm anybody ever.
Me neither.
Never.
But if someone comes in my house,
guns were created for the sole purpose of killing. That is the only reason.
I hope. I
personally would look forward to the day when we live in such a society that they no longer exist.
I agree with you, Victoria. Unfortunately, until everybody catches up, because you still have people. Listen, I live in a neighborhood. It's nice, but you go a few blocks and it's a pretty bad crime rate. Okay, I'm a single mom, 2 daughters. Someone comes to my house, someone bothers me. I'm not going to be the one to just hope that this guy or this person is going to just listen to me as I beg for them not to harm me or my children.
Exactly.
And I think
I don't live in fear, so that's
it's not fear, it's reality. That if you're in a situation, and I think as far as women are concerned, okay, which most of the violent crimes, we can look at how many violent crimes are done against women. I think guys are going to think twice about approaching and harming women in dark parking lots, or when they're leaving the mall, or when they're, if you don't know that this woman has the ability to defend herself. Now, over time, I am in agreement with you. It would, take everything and bury it, but you're still not having a certain amount of the population that are evolved enough where they're not going to try to harm you first. And I still think that we're not at the point where we can run the risk that, I see it all the time with women, with bad neighborhoods. We're not there yet, I don't think.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I look forward to the time when they no longer.
Yeah, we all do.
That's the consciousness that I'm holding. And I don't know if everybody has a weapon, then nobody needs one.
We have to be at the fifth dimensional status where, where we all understand that you don't want to hurt another human. But the reality is this, and I'm going to put it to you bluntly. I am a gun guy. I like guns because my hobby is to go shooting. It's like a stress relief, number one. Number two, my other stress relief I don't own anymore. It used to be my dune buggy that I sold in Costa Rica, which is going to be part of the backdrop, by the way, at the Quantum Summit. You guys are going to love it. There's a collage. As a matter of fact, I might share that with you. Not when we're recording, because it is a piece of work that you cannot believe.
You shared that with me, Mel. It's gorgeous.
I did. It's gorgeous, isn't it? But anyway, I'm absolutely sure that I'm never going to have to use my gun. I'm certain of this, but I don't want to be without that option. I don't want to be without an option somebody comes into my house and kills, God forbid, my wife
Yeah.
or my kids
Yeah.
or somebody that I love, and I know that if I had that option covered, if I had that base covered, and I had the proper training, I could have stopped that assailant from taking the most perfect, the most amazing woman in the world to me, my Amber.
Yeah.
But let's not forget why we have Second Amendment rights, because it's really not and didn't start with the idea of someone out in the street coming in and breaking into your house. It was a way for us to defend ourselves against the government and a tyrannical government that you look at Australia, you look at these other countries, they gave up their guns. It's not generally going to be your neighbor that you're going to have to worry about.
Right.
It's the government that's going to try to take over and try to impose their will and onto you. And that's the only reason, quite frankly, I think that America is where it is and why they've never been able to completely take us down, because you have gun owners who are going to rise up if that ever happens. So that is at the root of why we have the right
Mao
to
took the guns. Mao took the guns. Castro took the guns. They took the guns away in North Korea.
Germany.
How about Cuba? Same
Germany.
thing.
Yeah.
You got
and Elisa, that's the other thing too.
Fast.
That's the other thing too, Elisa, is back in those days in 1776, it was just assumed that everybody was armed because that you had to be, because you live in a cabin in the woods. Oh, that would be great, but you might have a tribe of Indians come and massacre your
or
village.
a wild animal for that matter, right? I mean,
exactly, or steal your cattle or what you needed to live. That was back then. It's not you get your horse stolen. You could die if you didn't have your animal that you needed. So it was just assumed. So you're right. That's exactly, and the only reason for the Second Amendment really to exist is so you can take up arms against an oppressive government, much like the one we just kicked out.
The one that was getting ready to become what? Communist?
Yep, absolutely.
No question about it. Because once you have no more guns, you lose your freedom of speech. You can't defend yourself, and the only right you have is to shut the F up, because you have no more rights. You're giving up all your rights at that point, and I don't want to be there. I know what you're saying, but if we were sure that everybody on Earth was like me and you, Victoria, that I would never shoot anybody and nobody would ever shoot me, then that would be the perfect world, and we don't live in a perfect world.
No, I'm just saying that's the world that I look forward to.
Then I would give it my guns. I don't want to shoot Victoria. Victoria doesn't want to shoot me. She knows that my life is precious. I know her life is extremely precious, and I don't want to take anybody's life. If that was the case, maybe I would consider not having guns when we have the right kind of governments. That is not a government. Really, we don't need a government at all, to be quite honest with you. With what's coming with artificial intelligence, we don't need to be governed. We're not a bunch of children.
Yep.
Okay. I don't want anybody to govern my mente. Govern mente means to govern your mind. Okay. And I don't want to watch television. That's why I shut it off 37 years ago. I watch selective stuff where I want to watch stuff. I'll watch a show like you guys, right? Because I want to learn some different stuff that I'm not being fed by the propaganda machine, right?
Yep.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about the audits. They are dying to get into the Treasury. They are dying to get into the IRS. They are dying to get into the Federal Reserve. They are dying to get into these things, because there's probably, guys, I hate to say it, I'm going to throw a number out there. I would say we got screwed over the last 75, 80 years. Probably, if I had to throw a number conservatively, probably 75 $75 trillion, which is bigger than our entire deficit that we have right now. That's how much every one of all this foreign aid was like, hey, let's send some money to educate the people who want to become transsexuals in Central America, and we'll send them $100 million, but with the agreement that you guys are going to send 95 million of that back, and you guys only get to keep 5 million, and because you guys have no money and you broke ass, okay, like we say in New York, okay, you'll say, yeah, okay, we'll do that, okay. And if you don't do that, obviously some FBI guys will come down and say, hey, I think you owe us some money. These are government gangsters. That's what these guys are. Okay.
Well, I just read that one of the numbers, and to me, it sounds low, but you tell me what you guys think. That FEMA sent 59 million apparently last week to the luxury hotels in New York City, to house the illegal immigrants. Now, I don't know. That sounds low to me, considering how long.
59 million a week.
A week. It was a week.
59 million per week. And
oh
you've
my
got
God! Okay.
people in North Carolina and Hawaii and California that have been wiped out by these natural disasters, which the government just let happen and could have helped, who are getting $750. They've lost their house, their job, everything, sometimes family members. So yeah, $59 million a week to illegal aliens.
Well, I mean, we're in a good position now, from what I understand, with down in North Carolina, right? Because Trump went in and he fixed that situation up for these poor individuals and got them into homes and stuff like that. But how much were they suffering? I have a friend who still never found her mom down there. Okay, I mean, just imagine that, just with all of this stuff that's going on, you lose a loved one. So yeah, it's really criminal.
Absolutely.
So obviously Trump's still not in charge of FEMA.
Oh, he's still not in charge of a lot of things, but he's in charge of the most important things. I think he put a major hurting on closing the border. There's still some pockets that people are still getting in. I think he put a hurting on doing the audits and finding out the corruption immediately to show the people, say, here it is, here's the corruption, lock, stock, and barrel. He's done a lot of great things already.
Yeah, the FEMA audit is scheduled. That's coming up. I mean, yesterday in his interview before the Super Bowl, he said, within the next 24 hours, we're going to crack open the Department of Education. And then I think FEMA and the Defense Department and the Fed are next on the list. So it's just going to be I think it's going to be like one a week. They're just going to break the stuff out, and Twitter is just going to get it all out there. It's amazing. I mean, it looks to me like we'll be able to save $1 trillion a year by the time they get done. And you take that money and I don't know, it's going to be fascinating by the time they get done. So.
It's really interesting. As I've been saying for a while, I don't know if people realize the word apocalypse. People are like, oh, it's the apocalypse, like it's the end of the world thing. The word apocalypse actually means revelation.
Yeah.
And the great apocalypse is the great revealing of all things hidden. And I've been saying for years, the only people who have to fear the apocalypse are those that have something to hide.
Right.
So we are in the final phase of the apocalypse. That's what's happening here. We're watching that house of cards start to fall. All the things that have been hidden in closets and cupboards and swept under rugs, all of it is coming out in the open so that humanity can make conscious choices. So one of the downloads I got a few years ago was that freedom of choice has been changed on the universal level to conscious choice. And I had people who were upset with me. They're like, well, that's not fair. What happens to freedom of choice? It's like, okay, conscious choice is when every human being has access to all the information. Nothing is hidden anymore. The governments are completely transparent. Businesses are completely transparent. The government actually puts a quarterly report on the internet for everybody to see where the money's coming from, where it's going, complete and total transparency. From conscious choice, you can choose which reality you want to be a part of. Some people would actually choose their enslavement reality because it's comfortable. It's all as safety and security control, disguised as safety and security. And some people will actually want to live in their 15-minute controlled environments because it feels safe and secure for them. But at least it's going to be a conscious choice. So this conscious choice is part of this new reality we're creating. And that results out of the apocalypse that's happening right now.
Yeah.
And so we can't move into a better, more loving, more conscious reality until we see the old one start to implode and we see how it was built. One of the visuals I've been given for years is that the systems on our planet are a house of cards built on quicksand, which is why they're constantly having to shore it up with new money and new programs and more and more government officials and more people constantly having to keep it up. But what happens with this apocalypse is this revealing of everything that's been created to keep those systems going. Then we build our new, I don't even like calling them systems because we're going to be using a different word, actually services instead of systems. And I wrote about this all in my book, Recreating Earth, that we're building our new reality on the solid foundation, the rock of love. And that when we build our reality on that, and it's all by conscious choice, all those other things are necessary. Like you were saying, Mel, we actually don't need government.
Yeah,
we don't at all. Zero.
And we won't need guns, and we won't need jails, and we won't need controls in that reality we're building that's based on love.
Yeah, sounds like your book and my book, The Choice, are the same book. We should read each other's books. I bet it's the same thing. You're right. Apocalypse means like lift the veil, and when you reveal what's underneath it, that's when the revolution comes, because people realize how to see. They're ready to be awakened. They realize how deceived they've been, and it isn't interesting that 2012 they kept saying apocalypse 2012, right? And it was the opening of the window for all this chaos and transition to take place, or what seems like chaos, but is actually just change. And it coincides exactly with the end of the occulted age of Pisces and the opening up of the enlightened age of Aquarius, which is really where we are right now. We're on that cusp, in that transition. And there's no question that all of these revelations are going to basically cause people to say, okay, this system has to go completely. And that's exciting. That's what we're living through. We get to watch.
One of the people put in the chats, but her name is Carol Maureen 13. She said we have a new gender, big balls.
Big balls, yeah.
Did you guys see the video with the big balls?
Yeah, the guy's name is Big Balls. The hilarious thing is that because this guy calls himself Big Balls and nobody knows who he is and can't refer to him as any other name, you actually had people on CBS and stuff, these women going, well, he calls himself Big Balls. And so they had to talk about Big Balls to criticize Musk. That was hilarious.
Oh, I watched that video like 9 times.
That's high level operation.
So what do you guys think overall about this guy, Elon Musk, who wants to wire our brains and put us to the metaverse and all this kind of shit with the internet? I mean, what is his angle? Why is it looks like he's doing everything correctly right now? He's auditing, he's finding the crooks, he's finding the steal, he's finding all the big money that's missing. He's doing that. If we had to give him a report card, A+ across the board.
I'll tell you because I tuned in and asked about him a few years ago. And he's one of the people, there are very, very few people on the planet that play this role. He is one of the beings on the planet that plays both sides.
Okay.
It's interesting because I don't know if he knows he's playing both sides, but he's playing both sides. It's just interesting. There are a few people on the planet that do that. Yeah, he as far as I can see though, he's the one that's the most out there playing both.
You have channeled it.
Huh?
You have channeled this.
Oh, I didn't channel him. I channeled my higher self, my team, and that's what I was shown. There's only about a dozen people on the planet that play both sides, but that's the role he's playing. We don't need our brain. Our brains don't connect into the universe because we already are. We just have to get the crap out of our head, and that all of us are.
A message real quick. You're never going to wire Mel Carmine's brain or any of my co-hosts' brain. I can assure you of this. And this is why you need a gun sometimes, because when Elon Musk shows up to my door and says, hey, it's your turn to get wired up to the metaverse, I'm going to say, no, motherfucker, it's not.
Because you're already wired to the multiverse.
Well, that's the thing. The contradictions in Musk make you almost wonder, is it two different guys? There are people who say, oh, he's been replaced, but they're just showing a picture of him before he had his hair done, right? Before he had his hair transplanted.
Yeah, but his head looks different, the shape of it. I don't know. I mean, we don't know really.
There are doppelgangers out there. We know that. I mean, Fetterman, geez. There's about 14 different Fettermans out there, and none of them are the same guy.
Right.
Although this new guy looks like the original. Maybe he's a clone that they finally grew and could put them out there. But I don't know. It's like the dichotomy between that kind of stuff, which is damn near satanic. And remember his profile picture on Twitter for a long time was him in that Demon's cosplay costume from Halloween a few years ago. The dichotomy between that guy and this guy who's executing, the takedown of the deep state, it's hard for me to put those two things together, because I'm with you guys. Nobody's ever going to put a freaking implant in my brain. No, forget it. Unless while I'm conscious, it's not going to happen. So, it's just one of those.
I don't
things.
believe that that's ever going to take place. I mean, this is his dream is never going to manifest because humanity is waking up to the bullshit. And like you said,
but is it his dream, or is he putting it out there? Is he putting it out there for people to reject it? I mean, is he putting it out there because that's their secret plans, and he wants people to go, wait a minute, what? I don't know. What do you think the game is? That's what I don't get. What's the game, Victoria? Elisa? What's the game? What's he doing?
I still think that there's a lot of disclosure or, showing what's going on, because people were just so brainwashed to not use their critical thinking, to not see what was really going on. Like even yesterday when I was watching the game, I literally felt like I did not want to look at the TV when the commercials were coming on. Like I didn't even want to look at them because somehow that was going to just invade me somehow. But I was watching everyone around me and they recognized this one and they thought that was great and this. So I think there's still a lot of exposure happening with a lot of these things, so that you're using these people that are in the front. Like we know that Trump has always been keep your friends close, your enemies closer, and utilizes a lot of these people to bring forth the messages or to expose it. So at the end of the day, I don't know that we're ever really going to know the answers, Mike, like that you're saying, but I'm sure there's a bigger game going on that is being orchestrated and manipulated to either wake people up, expose what's going on, get their critical thinking going again, pull them out of fear, give them more confidence to stand up for themselves. And it could very well be that, or that this is the life we would have all had we not moved on to this timeline and had Trump and, his team doing what they're doing.
Somebody just said it's Elon Musk's 2.0, another central cast actor.
That's what I believe personally, but
what do you guys think about that?
Well, it's interesting because there are some people who would actually prefer that to be their life.
Yeah.
When I talk about creating two opposing, there are being created two opposing realities, and on the surface they look identical,
right?
But they lead to two completely different results. And some people will actually prefer the peace through control, the security through control, the downloading their consciousness into an AI, the getting to be there are some people who like that as their potential reality. It's really fascinating. Yeah. And there are the rest of us who are like, no freaking way, I'm not giving up my freedom, no matter how pretty it looks, how pretty it's painted.
Yeah, remember those videos of those people going into, I don't know what it was it an Amazon store? I'm gonna probably get it. And they had the chip and they were able to swipe, with their hand. And I remember watching that and they look so happy, it's so convenient.
And I'm like, did you not read the Bible? Did you not read the thing about the mark on your hand or your forehead? I mean, how stupid are you people? I know.
A lot of people have never seen that. So that's Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, yeah. So that's Amazon. They own, right?
Yeah. So Amazon bought Whole Foods, and right during COVID, I went into Whole Foods, and they said, "Do you want to try the new hand scanner?" I was like, "No, thank you." Right. And I did the cashier, and I said, "That's a bit too big brother for me, thanks." Yeah. And so because Amazon bought Whole Foods, they have hand scanners in, as far as I know, every Whole Foods store. And that's when I stopped shopping at Whole Foods. They got rid of all of their organic stuff. They got rid of vitamins. They got rid of the nutritionists that used to work there. And they have hand scanners in every store. You can scan your cell phone or you can scan your phone. But they were so the workers were so excited about this new hand scanning technology. You never have to carry your credit card with you again.
Oh, because that's such an inconvenience to have your wallet in your pocket.
Right. That's
Good gosh,
It's so
people.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's
And it's-
controlled, disguised as
I don't mind
security.
technology,
Yeah.
and I don't mind making things convenient, but put it all on the phone, right?
Yeah,
Put it all on the phone,
Yeah.
Sure.
right? Put it all on the phone, and no problems, right? Put your driver's license on the phone. Put your passport on the phone. Put it on the phone. You're not going to put it in my hand or in my brain or in
No.
my ass. You're not going to do it, okay?
Especially my ass. Yeah. I remain at 60. I remain a virgin to this day. It's
The
like,
handshake
yeah,
was kind of a test.
it's an
Right?
excellent.
If people are willing to scan their hand, then maybe at some point they'll be willing to.
You know, it's like that line in The Matrix. I don't know if you ever saw The Matrix, the
Yeah.
original film, but it's like, you know, Morpheus is telling Neo, you know, some people are so inured into the system, they're so hopelessly dependent on it that they will fight to protect it, even though it is the system that's enslaving them. And if that doesn't describe, you know, 2025 Democrats, I don't know what does, because they're defending this completely corrupt system of absolute slavery, and like it's the death. And in fact, they keep saying things like, you know, Trump is doing this. It's illegal. It's illegal for him to get rid of USAID or the education department. No, it's not.
Look
It's
for him to mess with
illegal.
the Ponzi scheme. We've been trying to steal from you forever, and this guy is in our way. Yes.
Yeah, it's literally, you know, these are executive branch agencies which he has total control of,
Right.
absolute power over. And it's like the Supreme Court ruled on that in his first, you know, term. So it's like these people everything is exactly the opposite of the truth with them.
Yeah.
And you know, that the thing that movie taught me though, and Mel, we've talked about, like, why am I not bigger? Why are we not known more? And it's because this is one of the things I discovered in the UFO thing, you know, in my time as a UFO guy, is, you know, I want to give a presentation on ancient aliens and JFK. I'm going to tell you why they killed JFK, what's on the moon, why, when he decided to go to the moon with the Russians in concert, Victoria, which would have made a very different world in the last 60 years if we'd worked with them instead of fighting them, why that stuff's important. I'm going to give you the truth. And I get 100 people, and I look at a line, you know, at the conference, and it's like around the block, and I'm like, who's that for? And they're like, Corey Good, okay, who made up everything about the blue chicken cult, completely made up fantasy. But I realized people don't want the truth; they want the fantasy because it's more comfortable. So now I think we're moving into a period of time where the stars and the planets are aligning, and now truth is going to become the currency of choice.
Now, how big do you guys really think the steal is? I gave you a number of 75 trillion. It could be 100 trillion. It could be 500 trillion. Nobody really knows. We know it's a lot of trillions. How big do you guys think it is? I'm curious.
How much have they stolen? It's in the quadrillions.
It has to be.
Yeah,
I would
because
agree with Mike.
well, you know how it works. You know, you write a check. A financial instrument is a check is a financial instrument. You remember the sign on the dotted line? Well, why is the line dotted? Because it says authorized signature there in little bitty teeny tiny letters.
Yep.
What that means is you are authoring money into existence. That literally in our fiat system is how you create money. It's through your signature. And then they take that financial instrument, your check, and they take it to the Federal Reserve Bank. And if you wrote it for 1,000, guess what? They get 10 times that. They get 10,000 back. And that's supposed to be your money. But the banks and everybody else has stolen that from us, which is based on our birth certificate, our birthright. You know, your birth certificate is a financial instrument, and they basically con you into not being able to access your birthright, your wealth that you're born into this world with. So it's got to be so far beyond what we can even imagine.
Yeah, not to get off subject, we'll get right back on track on how much they stole. Lady here said Tom Althouse wrote The Matrix. It was stolen from him. He's going to be at the Quantum Summit talking about this, bringing the documentation, not just conversation, folks. documentation signed by lawyers with seals and stamps beyond a shadow of a doubt. And yes, and they gave it to the Tchaikovsky's brothers, or I don't know who they gave it to, but they gave it to somebody else. Yeah. And they didn't even alter the movie. The movie was written so perfect, and obviously, this guy should have been credited with it.
Are they the Wachowski brothers or sisters this week?
Who the hell knows?
We keep track. I don't even know who they are. Which one are they? Are they the Wachowski brothers?
All right, let's get back on the big steal. How much money did they take from us? You're saying it's got to be in the quadrillions.
Yeah.
Victoria, do you agree with that? Not Victoria, rather. Lisa.
I do. Because
bigger.
if we go through every last way that they have ripped us off and they have stolen, you're going into all, like Mike was saying, we have our birth certificates. We have, think of all the ways in which we are, 10 times paying tax on stuff. Just think of everything they've done to us and how much they've stolen across the board. It has to, and for how many years, it's got to be huge.
Right. Well, Victoria, you've been on my show 6-7 times over the years. How many times have I said that the taxes are going to go away, property taxes are going to go away, income taxes are going to go away, capital gains taxes are going to go away? Here we are. We're literally at that precipice. Whether they call it DOGE or they call it Nasara, it doesn't really matter. We don't need the credit. Just give us our tax break and arrest everybody who's part of the IRS, the most successful illegal collection agency in the history of the world. Arrest them all. And those are treasonous crimes. And Mike, what do they do with people who are treasonous?
It doesn't end well for them. You're supposed to hang them. I believe you're supposed to hang them. Or firing squad. You can death by hanging or death by firing squad is what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So,
everything
all coming to fruition.
Mel, everything I do is for the entire planet, not just for the United States. I keep telling people I'm not MAGA, I'm MEGA, make Earth great again. And this is not an American issue. This is the entire planet, and it's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. So the number I was given 2 years ago when I tuned in was decadillions. And actually I had to look that up. I was like, well, what the heck is that? That's how much money is going to be redistributed back to the people.
So that's on a worldwide basis, Victoria, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
I think we were talking United States.
And it's such a huge number that, it's what, trillions, quadrillions,
centillions, like how many zeros is that?
That's how big the number is. That will be redistributed back to humanity. That's been stolen from humanity.
Yeah.
And it will be redistributed. But it needs to happen in a way that trickles into all of these new modalities we're creating. It's going to trickle first, be funded. My understanding is in these, because we're building the foundation for New Earth, right? The money's going to go first into these foundations that build the New Earth. And as a result, trickle down actually would work. Only in this case, it's trickling up because we've inverted the financial from a pyramid to a vessel. And if you think about it from a money tree, I use that a lot because money really does grow on trees, and that our systems until now have been pyramidal in structure. So if you think about a tree at the top, you have the seed, and all of the money at the root, as a plant does, the resources feed from the bottom up. So when you plant a seed, the roots go looking for nutrients in the ground to feed the seed. That's the system we've been in for forever. Of the trickle down was a lie, right? It's really feeding up to the top. But this new modalities we're creating are actually causing the entire tree to bloom and blossom, so everyone gets to experience the prosperity that comes with building a whole new reality that's focused on everyone thriving instead of just the seed, the controller at the top. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So back in 2012, I had a vision from Yeshua, as I prefer to call him, and he said the money tables are going to be turned. And he showed me the vision of walking through the temples and knocking over the money tables. He said they're going to be turned right side up. That's what I see happening. That those pyramidal structures are going to be turned right side up, and that's when all of humanity starts thriving. So that's what I'm excited about. That everything we're envisioning, everything we're talking about as this new love-based, heart-centered 5D ascension, pick the name that works for you, reality we're creating. It is a reality where the tree of life is actually thriving and prospering and fruitful and multiplying for everybody. That's my vision.
Basically, you just said we're not going to need the XRP.
And not just XRP, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's all of it. All of the money tables are being turned right side up.
I agree that we really should be paid some kind of retribution. I don't know if Trump is on the same page as you, Victoria. I hope he is. I really do.
He might be a part of the framework, but Trump's really good at knocking things down. My team called him up, he said years ago, and I was trying so hard to not like him because he was such a jerk during the 2016 debates and things. And every time I would tune in to ask about him, what I was told is that he was chosen for that role because he has balls of steel. Mm-hmm. And that because he has balls of steel, he's like a wrecking crew, just go around and knock things down. That's his role, is to knock everything down. And a bull in a china shop, he just go into where China go shopping, actually discover that's what that meant, and just breaking things. But it's up to us, the people, to build a new reality. We're actually the ones that are creating it. He's creating an environment that knocks everything down, but it's our divine creation that's actually going to create the new reality.
Well, it is interesting that this guy who is knocking everything down is a builder. You know, it is kind of interesting, right? He's built some of the greatest skylines.
He didn't build them. He had a team. He just had the idea.
Yeah.
He had to hire contractors and builders and designers.
Right, but he had the vision. So, you know, it's a team effort, but it was his vision, you know, what he did here in New York. You know, for years.
But people were actually the ones that built it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. By the way, guys, when you come down, Victoria and Elisa are going to be the MCs at the Quantum Summit 1776, which is now less than a month away, and it's getting exciting. I'll tell you, Ron Paul right now must be clapping. Say bravo, because everything he wanted to do, Donald Trump is achieving. But it takes somebody with an extreme macho attitude. I don't give a fuck about you. I'm going to knock you over. If you get in my way, I'm going to crush you like a little cockroach that you are. Attitude, right? Right? Yeah. Exactly. Right.
And they're talking about Ron Paul being the guy to lead the audit of the Fed, which ought to be spectacular.
Right. Ron Paul was a nice guy, but his demeanor was not the kind of machismo character you need to carry out what Donald Trump is carrying out. Correct?
I remember when Trump addressed the Libertarian Convention in 2015, 2016, he said, I get it. I understand why you guys like Ron Paul, but he's never going to be president. I am. And you need a guy, you need Mr. Big Balls to carry this out. And I mean, look, this is a guy who's been shot at and almost killed, came within an inch of being killed.
And that's and that's what we know of, because we don't know all the other hundreds of times that there were assassination attempts. Yeah. Well,
I know of
probably
4
more
other assassination attempts, which I've talked about. Mel, if I had time, I tell everybody what they were.
About them, because I know about some of the same ones. They shot him on the golf course. They missed. There was another shooting incident in the middle of the night. They tried to shoot through his bedroom window. They didn't understand that the glass on his bedroom window is 17 inches thick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The glass is not going to. The bullet is not going to penetrate.
The first summit with Kim Jong-un, they fired a missile from an abandoned submarine on Whidbey Island as Air Force One passed overhead. There was the plot against him on MLK Day, and I think 2018, when he and Pence were going to be at the MLK Memorial. They caught a guy who had a rocket launcher, grenade launcher, was going to blast into the White House. But that guy actually, he was going to take them out with a grenade launcher at the MLK Memorial on MLK Day. That's the day Donna Brazile tweeted out, Speaker Pelosi, soon to be President Pelosi on MLK Day. So the whole plot was there that they caught this guy just like a day or two before, or right when she tweeted that. He was gonna try to kill them at the MLK Memorial. That was the coverage there. And then the summit with Kim Jong-un in Hanoi, which broke up after 45 minutes. That was a nuclear bomb threat. There was supposedly a suitcase nuke. They said, if you don't break off these peace negotiations with North Korea, we're going to set off the suitcase nuke in Hanoi. Kim Jong-un was out of there on his train within 3 minutes. Donald Trump had to wait for them to prep Air Force One. And I can go through all this,
You can, please do.
39 minutes. Donald Trump comes out, as soon as it breaks up, comes out, holds a 39-minute press conference, and then boom, he's off to Air Force One, and they're up in the air in 45 minutes. And I have a friend who used to take care of problems for the federal government, who I called and I said, is it true that it takes exactly 39 minutes? And he said, yes. And he said, there's a $100 million contract that just came out on Usama bin Laden, the son of Osama bin Laden, who was the guy who put out the threat. And 3 or 4 months later, he assumed room temperature. So that's the 4 that I know of for sure, that I can just go through and show you all the evidence of them. So, and like you said, there have been many others since then. So,
Now,
Well,
wasn't
think about
also
it.
in Vegas when they, at the MGM, which was owned by Al Walid, we know now that was also because he was there with bin Salman, and that was also, I think, an attempt,
Right.
was it not?
We know bin Salman was there. We don't know that Donald Trump was
Well,
there.
supposedly, from what I've
Yeah.
heard from certain, insiders saying,
And
he
I
was
have
there
been
as
told
well.
there's a huge tunnel network under Las Vegas. Anytime Donald Trump is in Las Vegas, he can be in Reno, which is the location of the new future treasury, within 20 minutes. He can hit a bullet train and be up there in 20 minutes. So there's some crazy stuff that's been going on for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to go over how I decided to. Well, this has literally been in the works inside my mind. I never even spoke about it to Amber. Some things I keep to myself, and how I was going to put the show together. And as you could see, for the audience sake, we don't exactly see eye to eye on everything, and it's perfectly okay. That's what makes it interesting, because if everybody was 100% on the same page, I might as well call this the Mel Carmine boring show. Okay. And it's not going to be boring, I promise you, because I don't see eye to eye with everything that Mike says, and I don't see eye to eye with everything that Victoria says, and vice versa. And that's what makes it interesting, and that's what makes us grow, and that's what makes this. I'm sure that if everybody got along and then we can get rid of the guns. If everybody was fifth dimensional, everybody knows that life is precious. You never destroy life. Everybody lives by that rule. Never breaks that cardinal rule. We could all get rid of the guns, right?
Yeah. I think that future is coming, but I think it's a ways off.
50, 60 years away.
Maybe. Yeah. By the way, I wanted to show you guys, I just saw this on X. We were talking about it earlier. This is a screen share I'm going to do. The culture, if you can put it in, Mel, can you put it in the stream?
I don't know.
Can you see it?
This is a little bit above my pay grade.
Well, I'm sharing. I don't know if anybody.
It should share. It should allow you to share.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But anyway, it's
here. Sorry, I'm so bright by the sun. I'm like, I can kind of.
I don't know if I can get it up and to show everybody. Apparently not.
I know on Zoom I have to give you the permission to.
No, I can't get it up there, but it's just a graphic showing the culture shift from woke. And it shows Taylor Swift and Donald Trump talking about how the culture's shifting. So I think yesterday is going to be the day we look back and we say something. That's when we knew things had shifted. Although we probably should have known it when Let's Go Brandon happened.
Well, there's no question that the culture's shifting. Look at all the things that are happening around you. That was like a wake-up call. What happened yesterday, boo and yay! You know what I mean? It was like, okay, the people have spoken. It shows the world because there's 100 million people. But I was waiting for the Ripple commercial, which never came. And I was waiting for the commercial of Elon Musk to start calling out all of the crimes and how much money they stole, that never came either.
Yeah, that turned out to be a scam somebody was running. It doesn't look like Elon ever intended to show commercials. But then I find that interesting. Why didn't he say that? So, in other words, Elon could have put all that down and just said, "No, I didn't buy any commercial time. What are you people talking about?" Because it was a big rumor, and he didn't. I wonder if that's because they wanted everybody to tune in, more people than would have tuned in. Tune in so they could see the other things we talked about. I don't know.
Could be. That makes sense, Mike.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, this was a great show. Anything else we need to talk about that maybe something that I forgot about? I don't really have a lot of experience doing this, and we're sort of doing this on a whim by the seat of our pants, which it's always the best way. It always comes out the best way.
Yeah. Well, it's a round table, right? We're just going to sit here and shoot the shiz and I mean, if I was with my bros, we'd all be drinking whiskey and smoking cigars and doing this. So why not just do it with a camera on it?
Right. Well, I don't drink and I don't do cigars, but that's okay. All right. See, like, okay, he likes to drink. I like to. I never could get into the taste of a cigar. I don't know what it is. Never.
You need to try a Cuban sometime because it's better than.
I was smoking $20 cigar Cohibas, the best cigars you could possibly imagine. I bought 2 of those things. I wish I would have saved my money, that $40, and bought XRP instead. Okay, because I'm telling you, those cigars are probably going to cost me about $8 million by the time it's all said and done. Okay, $40, right, and bro. This is like not working for me.
Gotcha.
All
right.
I got to share one little thing with you guys. I obviously am not a gun lover. However, I can shoot a gun probably better than most people.
Most women can.
Mm-hmm. I grew up shooting guns in Montana, and the day I met my husband, as I now call him, we went skeet shooting, and I kicked the ass of every guy.
You know what's funny?
And my husband was like, "That's cool."
But you know what? You just gave me a great idea for a show. We're going to do a show together. We're going to go to a shooting range with Victoria Reynolds, who hates guns.
And I'll tell you one of the reasons I don't like them, because I did go to a shooting range and I'd get licensed or whatever to have one. It is the incredible, awesome power of life and death that you hold in your hands. And I don't like that. I don't like having that much power.
Yeah, you got to respect it for sure.
You do.
You gotta.
It's very uncomfortable to be able to hold something this big in my hand that I could end life with.
Yeah.
But Victoria, on that, you can end life with anything. I mean, if you think about it,
a pitchfork,
anything is a weapon. I mean, you know, people get killed every day.
Guns are the only thing ever created for the sole purpose of killing. It's the only reason they exist.
But what I'm saying is, we hold.
I understand, but pitchforks were created for pitching hay, which I have also done. So, right? Guns are the only thing that were created for the only purpose guns were created for was for killing. And that's it. Then hunting, it's still killing. Protecting your family, it's still killing. It's the only thing that's ever been created for the entire purpose of killing. Now, that includes cannons and things like that, right?
Swords.
Yeah. Swords actually were created for cutting grass, not for killing.
Okay.
So I'm not a fan of them. But if people think that's what they have to have, maybe if everybody has guns, then nobody will want them. It's like if everybody's famous, then nobody's famous.
They did a study. They did a study in a county in Georgia not too long ago. I think it was like in the 90s, and you guys could probably pull it up on the internet. Just as a test, they made it mandatory that whether you rent a house or own a house, you have to have a gun. This is a true story. It lives on the internet. And what happened was the crime in that county went down by 98%.
Yeah.
You know why? Yeah. Because when everybody has a nuclear weapon and everybody understands how destructive the nuclear weapon is, nobody wants to hit the big red button. Right? So it creates the balance of power. It creates a balance of, hey, You got one, I got one. I know you don't want to shoot me, and I don't want to shoot you. So let's not shoot each other, and let's go practice instead. Right?
Well, my focus is on changing the consciousness of humanity,
Mine is too.
so that nobody even has an interest or desire to hurt
Yeah.
anybody else. That's
Yeah,
where
I don't have a desire to hurt anybody. Do I look like the kind of person they tried to recruit me ad nauseum to work for the mafia, the Colombo crime family, the Lucchese crime family, the Genovese crime family, and not to be a trigger guy. Okay? They realized this guy is pretty smart. We could use him to help us organize the crime. Okay? And I said no. So I'm not the kind of guy that I don't strike you as the kind of guy that I want to go out and look for trouble. But hell, man, you come mess with my family, or you try to hurt my family, my castle.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm focusing on changing the consciousness of humanity.
Yes. And
because
I hope
when you have a loving consciousness, you have no because causing harm to another person ultimately causes harm to yourself. So if you have enough of a loving relationship with yourself, you have zero interest in causing.
But we live in a society that not everybody's like me and you, Victoria, or like
and that is the ultimate goal. I
hope we achieve it. I really do. I want to achieve that.
We will.
You know,
I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Enough of us need to make that our desire. Rather than focusing on the problems, we've got to focus on the solutions. There's too many people focusing on the problems. When we focus on the solutions, not saying that problems don't exist, we have to acknowledge that they exist. You can't solve a problem if you don't know the problem even exists.
Yeah.
But yes, recognize the problem, see the problem, focus on
here's the situation.
That is my entire purpose for being on the planet.
Yeah, the situation is you and I know we have our heads screwed on straight. We don't mess with drugs or alcohol or psychotropic drugs or heroin, and we have our heads screwed on straight. But other people out there, you and I are not responsible for other people, what other people could come do to us. And you have to be prepared, and hopefully you never have to use that option. But if you have to, who do you love in your family, Victoria, besides yourself?
Well, my family, obviously, and my ex-husband, and he does have guns.
Yeah. Let's just say, for example,
and we taught our kids how to use them.
Yeah, let's just say, for example, probably never going to happen. Probably 900 trillion to 1.
It won't.
Not happen.
Because I can see the future and it won't happen. So
great. But if you were in a situation where somebody was trying to take out one of your daughters,
I only have one.
Okay, one.
Otherwise, my son is.
It makes it even more important because you only have one, right? You would not want to be in a situation where you can possibly help her out by deterring. Maybe you don't have to take a shot. Maybe just say, hey, listen, I would suggest you put that down right now. I'm a good shot, and I'm going to hit you in the balls first just to prove a point.
But here's my conversation. That is not the reality I choose to live in.
Right.
My consciousness is already in a fifth dimensional reality. Now, my body is certainly sharing this 3D world. But in my reality, look, we are, each one of us are a candle in the darkness. The only way to illuminate, to lighten the entire world is if each one of us light other candles. You can either snuff out the candle of other people, or you can light the candle of other people. I'm here to light the candles of other people. That is my entire purpose on the planet, is to bring a new age of enlightenment.
Well, can you still love Mel Carmine based on my point of views? And can I still love Victoria Reynolds based on her point of views? I hope the answer is yes.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry. I just to say that.
Yeah, just to that point, Victoria.
My favorite word. Sorry.
I'm a light worker too, but unfortunately, we do live, like, we can choose the reality we want to live in, but God forbid there's an instance, and my instance is more concerned about the government. I mean, I'm going to be straight about that. Like, do I worry someone might break into my, not all the time, but I'm prepared. But the point is, if things were moving the way they were moving, what are we going to do when they start coming to the door and jabbing us or doing things like that? That's really where my concern is now. As we all, all of us here are thinking high vibrationally, we're all thinking about raising consciousness and trying to be on that different timeline. but we're not there yet because there's still a lot of other people that are holding it down, right? So we have to work a little harder. We have to bring that out. So there is a reality. It reminds me of in A Bronx Tale, if anybody saw it, when the kid witnesses the murder and he goes to confession. And he says, he's asking him to confess. And he says, with God, everything, you're okay. He says, I'm sorry, but like God isn't out there, on the street where I could get knocked off if I tell what I really.
No, I remember the lines almost verbatim. He said, "Listen, your guy might be more powerful up there, but my guy's more powerful than your guy down here." That was the confession.
Exactly. And
I'm just not going to feed my energy into that, because the more of us that feed our energy into that, the longer it sustains. So one person at a highest level of consciousness can hold that for 10,000. We only need 1% of the entire Earth population to shift the entire consciousness of the Earth. That's how powerful one person in the vibration of love is. So that's not that many of us. It's only 800 million people on the entire planet.
And I love the way you think, Victoria. The only question is,
I would end the show, number of people to shift the entire consciousness of the planet.
only thing I would end the show with, when are we going to go shooting? I want to take you through.
I don't like shooting. Okay, I'll shoot a plate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're talking about.
I haven't done that for 30 years.
Or a can.
30 years ago.
Or a can of beer.
I really don't. I would rather shoot a camera than a gun.
There you go. But I had fun, guys. This was a very interesting conversation.
Thanks.
This is our second show, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll start putting like a number 2, number 3 on our thumbnails. Amber, you with me, Amber? Where is she? There you go. So be number 3 every Monday, 4 p.m. We're going to try to do a 4 p.m. We might have 4 p.m. Eastern. We might have some alternates down the road, that in case Victoria has something really important to do, or Mike has something, or maybe Mel Carmine has something important to do. The show will go on. That's why it's called a forecast. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. I had a great time, guys. This was good.
Yeah. Terrific.
It's always good. See you.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Thank you.